Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fortress Comic News, episode 349. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host here, Mike. What's going on today, Mike?
Hey, top 5 show day. That's what it is, Chris. Here we are.
Yeah,
End of the
the
year.
awards.
Start of a new year, end of one year, start of another. So, our top 5 are the definitive best things that have happened this year all over the world by anybody ever said. So, you should be tuning in.
Can we talk about something real quick? Have you
Yeah.
seen that McDonald's has a new restaurant coming out?
It's out. It's out in Midwest. Yeah, Cosmix, and it's only drive-through. Only serves coffee. Yeah, I've been looking at this, Chris. Very bizarre to me. They still sell some McDonald's items there, but not all of them. I don't know. Yeah,
What's with this half arch?
because I don't know.
It's so strange to me.
It's supposed to be a C, right?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't really know. Yeah, because then they use the half arch in like the sign behind it. Yeah, it's weird. I guess they're trying to compete with Starbucks, because it couldn't get more dystopian in the future. So McDonald's will just own every type of restaurant.
Yes, Mike, we all know that in the future there's only going to be Taco Bell.
Just Taco Bell. Yep. Hell yeah.
What are they? Oh my god, this is bougie as shit. I'm looking at their menu right now.
But it still has like a McMuffin on there.
There's a churro frappe.
That sounds good. Sounds like
I haven't even gotten to chai tea latte. There it is.
900 grams of sugar.
Oh yeah. There's McFlurries and McMuffins.
Yeah. I'm like, you can't be competing with Starbucks, and then you got I guess Starbucks has sandwiches too, but
what are McPops?
I don't know. Are they cake pops?
Yeah, like there's an apple cinnamon and a cookie butter McPop.
Yeah, so it's got to be a cake, like the cake pops they sell at Starbucks. It's like the round cake ball on a stick.
You can get a charcuterie thing.
No, you can't. Really?
Yeah, it's got like cheese and fucking meats and shit on it.
Just hamburger. Hamburger charcuterie.
McFlurries. Oh, dude, strawberry and cookie McFlurry? The fuck is this?
Yeah, I think they're going to have exclusive stuff there. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be opening more of them. McDonald's is like, all right, we already make billions a day. How can we tap another market to make more billions of dollars?
So all the standard soda, right?
Uh-huh.
They don't have Dasani. They have Smart Water because it's fancy.
Because because they sell fancy water at Starbucks. It's all to copy Starbucks, man.
And then you can get Topo Chico.
Okay.
Sabora mint with lime. I don't know what the fuck that means.
I don't know.
Dude, it's just breakfast stuff. So yeah, it's literally a fucking
Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
This is fucking nuts. I don't know.
It's only drive-through.
Why is it only drive? So there is a Starbucks in my town.
Uh-huh.
And I fucking hate it.
Because it's only drive-through?
Well, no, it's drive-through and regular, but the people that go there, so it literally comes off the main road. You go into this like side street, and like, I don't know, 10 feet, there's the Starbucks.
Yeah.
So then you turn into what is like a little plaza, which is where my gym is, and like a bunch of other shit that I go to. And they're always like into the road.
Oh man.
And my feeling is when you're outside the property of Starbucks, you move on with your fucking life.
You go on or try to go inside.
Yeah. You don't ruin my day.
Yeah.
So this is why I hate Starbucks.
Don't give it away, Chris, because now he hates all of you. You ruined his day. He hates you.
I'm trying to go be manly and lift heavy objects.
Yeah, he wants to lift weights. Yeah. I can't do that with a Frappuccino, although that'd be really good.
Frappuccinos are delicious.
Yeah, they are really good. Yeah. You know what I saw they had at Starbucks the other day? Just going to talk about Starbucks for a second. Like a caramel creme brulee flavored latte. I was like, how do they make it taste like a creme brulee? I'm like, I never had one, but I do want to try one now.
So I'm a big fan of Tim Hortons.
Yeah. Tim Hortons not bad.
And they've got the Oreo iced cappuccino, which is really good.
That's a thing?
As fucking delicious.
Oreo
iced cappuccino.
Oh my god.
Well worth your time. I do miss the what was his name? The Bieber bits or Bieber bites.
Oh,
where they were, which were just like Justin Bieber making.
Yeah, I forgot Bieber had his own stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tim Biebs. That's what it was.
Yeah,
it was Tim Biebs.
I forgot about those.
But they were the most Canadian flavors. It was like maple waffle donut.
Oh, that's amazing.
Dude.
I'm here for that.
I mean,
I
stopped eating all that stuff, but dude, Tim Biebs come back.
Yeah, Tim Biebs
gaining all that weight back
out the window.
Yeah.
Now I'm starving, so we got to do this top 5 so I can eat.
That's why I ate before the show.
Yeah, dude, you did it right, man. Oh my god. So how do you want to do this year, Chris? Do you want to do writers, media, artists, books?
Let's go writers, artists, comics, then media.
Media last. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So writers.
Starting at the
artists.
bottom, going up, everybody.
Yeah. So we always do our worst to our best.
I was gonna say we should probably explain. So we do a top 5 for these categories. Very basic categories.
Yep.
We each pick 5. We go back and forth.
Yep.
And we start from 5 and go up to 1.
Yep.
It's pretty simple, everybody.
Pretty simple.
Yeah. You'll get it. Trust me.
You get it. This is our annual issue. Have you? Okay. Number 5 for writers would be Tim Sheridan for me.
Okay. Not on my list.
Yep. And I don't know if we'll see if we have a lot of crossover, but I think Alan Scott, I think those first couple issues are really good. I was a huge fan of him for Dial H. But I do believe that this character is a big take for him to have a go at. And there's a lot of weight to that character. And I think he's handling it very well. Like when I was reading it, I saw the voice of Alan Scott. To me, it was like, okay, this seems like the character.
And I'll say, well, not a very new change.
Yeah.
This is the first time in a solo book we've explored this change.
Yeah. Yep.
So
he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your number 5?
This will probably be our only crossover, but you obviously have him higher. Joshua Williamson.
Yep, that's my number 4.
Oh, okay. So we can kind of combine here.
Yeah. So we can talk about it. Yeah.
So I mean, Joshua's done a bunch of stuff. I wasn't so hot on Batman and Robin,
but Night Terrors.
was
That's how you do an event
phenomenal.
book. That's how you do an event book. We talked about it, right?
Yeah, those two, and he took over the Batman book for that time, and the Night Terrors Batman issues were really good. And then what he's been doing with Superman. Kind of flying under the radar.
Yep.
I don't see a lot of people talking about it, but I love that Superman book.
Yeah, it is a good book. Yeah, it is consistently good. Yep.
Yeah, so I just think he's been doing great things for a long time. He's kind of the architect of everything happening at DC and has been for a while now, 5-6 years maybe.
Yep.
He's just been killing it. I don't know how he does it. He's also got those 2 G.I. Joe books coming out that if I had more wiggle room to play with on my pull list, I would check out.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how the dude does so much work and it's so consistently good. Yeah. So, I mean, anything you have to add, feel free.
No, you did it. Yeah. I think the whole Night Terrors with that was just so good.
Okay.
So you can do your number 4, I guess.
So I guess we'll jump by number 4, which is Charles Soule.
Nice. Not on my list.
We talked about Charles Soule on last week's podcast.
Yeah, we did.
He had that new book, Bloody Dozen, which started off really good, but I don't even count that towards this. The dude did 8 Billion Genies this year, which was a really good series.
Yep, that was this year.
I still really enjoy Undiscovered Country that he co-writes with Scott Snyder. And then he does Hell to Pay, which was a really fun series too. The dude's putting out novels. He's got Star Wars novels. He's got personal novels going out. You can count that if you want. I mean, those are really enjoyable too. And then he's been the main voice behind Star Wars for a while now. He's doing that Dark Droid series. He does the main Star Wars series. He's been putting out a lot of good to great work. He's kept me intrigued on a franchise I've been a fan of since I was a little kid, seeing those movies with my father. The dude's just been great. And outside of Star Wars, I mean, his independent stuff has just been really good and intriguing. And I think he's a really great fucking writer.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 8 Billion Genius is really good.
Yeah, so I look forward to see what he has in store for next year too. I mean, he's going to start off pretty heavy with that Bloody Dozen book.
Yeah,
and we'll see where Star Wars goes. But yeah.
Number 3 would go to Tom Pear this year. Because of all the lovely Dragonfly Man stuff we got. Keeping that character in that universe alive, and then like going into spinning it back into a 3rd volume story that I'm still interested in. And all the stuff he's doing over at Ahoy too. But yeah, that guy, he writes that character so well and keeps it interesting too, and like is expanding on those characters in that universe that I didn't necessarily care about to begin with. So yeah, just a great guy.
I do love me some Tom Pear. We do need to talk Tom Pear again soon.
Yeah, we do.
My number 3, actually, there's actually a pretty good chance that these are on your list too.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually 2 people, Mike.
Well, these are my number 2 then, Chris.
Is Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. That's your number 2.
That's my number 2.
Yeah, so we'll start with the end of the run of Captain America this year. I really enjoyed that run of Captain America, Katie. And then they went from that to doing Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think has been a really good book. A lot of fun. A different twist on what Guardians have been in the past. While those 2 books are going on, they're also doing the Batman Beyond title, which has been one of my joys recently, is to see Batman Beyond get a resurgence.
It's so good. Yeah, I agree.
And and the things they're doing with that book. I mean, the first volume was good, really, really good. This volume is at another level, and I hope they keep getting more moving forward. And then they kind of. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say they're doing everything right. Everything they touch.
Everything they touch is gold.
Yeah, it's like I'm reading an Outsiders book right now.
And that was going to be one of my next things. We had 1 issue of the Thunderbolts book this year. I really enjoyed that. It was a different team, but I like the premise, and I do like the team. And then to get both of us enjoying an Outsiders book with no Batman, as much as we are, is nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, but they did it. Yep. No, I completely agree. Yeah, so that was my number 2 for your number 3. So I guess you can just do your number 2.
My number 2. Yeah. I can guarantee the next 2 aren't on your list.
Okay.
Jonathan Hickman.
Definitely not on my list.
Yes. I don't believe you've read anything by him this year.
No, definitely did not. No X-Men for me. No, definitely not.
So he didn't do X-Men. But the Gods book, issue 3 is coming out this week as you're all listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
Actually came out last week as you're all listening to this. But anyways, really enjoyed the first 2 issues of that. Haven't gotten the 3rd issue yet, but thought it was a really good issue. And then this, honestly, it goes to Ultimate Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
He brought back the Ultimate Universe in a new way, made it interesting. That book was just so good from top to bottom. I just can't say enough good things. I am so beyond excited that he's doing Ultimate Spider-Man. I've said it a million times. I would love to visit the alternate reality where Donnie wrote Ultimate Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But his new twist on Spider-Man, creating a new Ultimate Universe for a new generation, I'm just over the moon with what he's been doing. And I feel like he has just like a permanent spot on my writers list because he's just one of my favorite writers of all time.
Awesome. Yeah.
Your number 1, sir.
My number 1, for somebody who's been killing it this year, doing 2 crazy books back to back. Mark Waid. Yeah.
Not my number 1, but
not your number 1. But
no.
I know. I mean, Mark Waid doesn't need the recognition. The dude's he's a icon in the industry, but the amount of content he's doing every month, and the Batman Superman book, The World's Finest, has been so much fun. And I can't wait to see more of that. So yeah, hats off to him.
Yeah, he was an honorable mention for me. I'll talk more about that book in a little bit, but
yeah,
so good. My number one should be no surprise to anybody at all. It's Chip Zdarsky.
Yeah,
I think he was number one last year. He was probably number one the year before that. I don't fucking care. The dude kills it.
Yep, honorable mention for me, but yeah, the Batman book this year, right? Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, we can start with Batman. The Batman book's been really good.
Yeah.
Outside of that crossover that we both skipped, I really love that first story arc. I love where this new story arc's going. And he found a way for me not to care that he's like kind of shoehorning a Joker story in.
Mm.
I mean, we've had discussions about that in the past. I just think he's just killing on Batman.
Yeah.
That's like the tip of the iceberg, though, Mike. His Daredevil run ended this year.
Right.
And it's true. One of my favorite Daredevil runs ever.
Yep.
Just once again, top to bottom, I don't think there's a bad issue in that run.
Mm-hmm.
Even the event they did in the middle of it was intriguing. So I love that. And then you throw in his independent work, Newburn. He's a guy that it's hard to pin down what he is outside of just quality. Because Newburn feels more like a Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips book. That's actually done with Sean Phillips' son as the artist.
Yeah.
So that's where the kind of connection comes in. But it's a noir book that has that feel to it. And then he goes and does Public Domain, which is him writing and drawing a book about how comic book creators in the past got screwed by these big companies. And I just think that's a book that anyone that loves comics and loves the history of comics should read, because there's so many emotional story points in that draw back to, it's not about one specific person. It's about all of them. It's about what they did to Jack Kirby. It's about what they did to Steve Ditko, and the list goes on and on and on. Yeah, just I'm a Chip fanboy, man. Like, I don't know what to say. I love his stuff. And I didn't even bring up Kaptara, which I think is a really fun book too. So
yeah, he's doing great stuff.
Yeah.
Top 5 artists now, everybody. My 5th one was Elena Casagrande, because Chris had mentioned that she got a break this week with Blade, but she has been the artist for the Blade book, and the action sequences, the type of characters, the monsters are seeing, keeping that coherent and making it awesome is not an easy task. And so, yeah, just for that book alone, Elena gets the number 5 spot.
That would have been my number 6.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I love that Blade book.
Yeah, so it looks great.
My number 5, keeping with Daredevil, is Marco Checchetto.
Okay.
This goes out to the Daredevil book. I said it a million times throughout that series as it was coming out, but Checchetto to me is like the perfect Daredevil artist. And while that's kind of the main thing he did this year, he's also working on the new Ultimate Spider-Man book that we haven't seen yet, but we've seen, pre-release stuff for it. And I just think he's going to fit very well into that, as Spider-Man and Daredevil have very similar styles in terms of how they move and all that throughout the world. But this goes to Daredevil. Just that book was phenomenal, and his art is amazing throughout it. And dude, those last few issues where Daredevil's in hell, and Checchetto has to kind of change his style a bit to fit from kind of this dark, dreary Hell's Kitchen atmosphere to being literally in hell.
Yeah.
And we joked about it at the time, because it does go through some tropes in comics, but like the redesign of his outfit to be all white and all that stuff, just loved his art throughout it.
Yeah, that's awesome to go from Hell's Kitchen to literal hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great description of for your art to transition like that in one series. Number 4, Inaki Murata for Godzilla Here There Be Dragons. That art is great. I tried to look at people who I thought the art was really impactful this year that I don't really know their names. For sure, I did not know Inaki before this book. I think the pirate stuff is fantastic. The scenes where we do get to see Godzilla and like the fantasy behind it, I think all those drawings are very interesting to me. And how, I mean, drawing the kaijus is just awesome. So I really think they're doing a great job.
Very cool. I went a different route, Mike.
Okay.
Sean Gordon Murphy's my number 4.
Who's that?
We got, I mean, this is kind of a cheat. We got some final issues of Batman White Knight this year, so I can throw those in. That series, one of my favorites. He's even co-writing the Generation Joker book, but that doesn't count towards art. And he does that book Plot Holes that's coming out from Massive Publishing, I believe it is. And it's just been... It's been a great book. I love his style, and I love what he's doing, because in Plot Holes, to be particular too, he's trying to do... The different characters are different art styles. So like there's a manga character that he's trying to do a manga style, and there's a Calvin Hobbes character he's doing like, so he has to adjust his style a bit too. And although I love his art, he has a direction he goes in. And this book has challenged it. So I gotta give props to it. And so he's my number 4.
My number 3 was actually a book we got as a really cool... This is no way influenced my choice at all, but we got this as a really cool press package. This is going to be Lee Bermejo for his book, A Vicious Circle. That murdering time travel book. That art for that was hands down like some of the best stuff I've seen all year, just on that one book. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. I don't like the way he draws characters are so realistic.
And that's another one where he's not on my list. That's an oversight on my part.
Yeah.
That book was almost on my top 5 comics for this year, but I had to drop it. But I loved how he also had changed art styles throughout it.
Yeah, with the time traveling too. Yeah, right? Yeah, it's so cool. So
that's one of those things when artists do that.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about it more when we get up to my number 2. But when artists do that, it's impressive to me, because a lot of artists just stick to what they do. John Romita Jr., for instance, he does something really well, and that's what he does.
Yep.
And so when guys are willing to go outside those comfort zones and do different things, it's impressive to me. I don't know if it should be. I'm just a dude that talks on the mic on the internet.
Who knows? So you're number 3.
Alessandro Cappuccio.
Okay.
Cappuccio. This is ours for Moon Knight.
Nice.
It's not a book you're reading, but it kind of falls in the same idea as Blade. Like, it's very similar in style, very action focused, almost manga inspired, and it works for Blade, or for Moon Knight. And I like that it's very colorful, even though everything's taking place at night.
Okay.
And it gets down to the 2 things that Moon Knight's best known for. Moon Knight's best known for fighting vampires and being a ripoff of Batman.
I love that. Every time you say it, I love that.
And that's really, I mean, what they're doing is he's fighting vampires at night. I mean, he's going against the Vampire Nation. He's going to die soon because of it.
Yep.
And doing it in a giant white suit in the middle of the night, basically being Batman. So like there is color that's to be added to it. It's just, I think his style throughout it's been just so good. And this is another book that alone I think is the reason to buy it, is the art. And that's a rare thing in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah. Number 2 for me. So we talked about the new Batman Beyond Neo-Gothic series. The artist on that is Max Dunbar. And yeah, just the world he's building, he's making Gotham feel like its own character. We get to see the Underdark of Gotham, all the different character designs. I think it's just really cool stuff. It's very interesting. That was part of the fun of Batman Beyond, is always seeing the futuristic designs of the new or existing characters. So I think Max has done a great job.
Agreed. My number 2, sticking with Batman, is Jorge Jimenez.
That's my number 1, Chris.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. I'll be interested to see what you think about number 1 then.
Okay.
I kind of talk about it with Sean Gordon Murphy, but like, not only has Jorge's art been phenomenal throughout this Batman run, and I believe he was the previous Batman artist too before Chip came on. I could be wrong about that. I wasn't reading it. But when he brings like these last couple issues, when he brought in, and even I think during whatever the big issue was, when they brought in the different Zuranars from different alternate realities,
that page alone gave him the top spot for me.
He does it in the Batman, the Dark Knight style.
Yeah,
he
all
does
the
it
different
in
styles,
the animated style.
Yep.
And then when he comes back to what he does best, he just does it so well.
Right.
And it's this, I don't want to call it realism. I'm so bad at describing artists. It's not even funny, but there's something about his art that just like when I see it, I know right away that dude is talented.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Deserving of my number 1 spot for Batman, and then Nemesis Reloaded as well.
That's right.
Yeah. So not only Batman, not only doing the staple Batman book, but also bringing back a Mark Miller staple book in 1 year is pretty big. So for sure, he deserves number 1 spot. And like you said, that multiverse Batman shot was alone. That's what he wins it for. Yeah.
I don't think that would jump him above my number 1, but bringing up that Nemesis book, because I forgot that he was the artist for that.
Yeah.
That book is so fucking good.
It is really good. Yep.
My number 1
is
Dan Mora.
Another good pick. Yep. I know there's so many. I mean, everybody's so talented. It's hard to pick, yeah.
What brings Dan up for me is like the World's Finest book has been just so good. I love his
so good. Yeah.
His I don't want to say cartoony, but it's got like an old school simplistic style to it. But I don't know, modern. I don't know. Like I said, I can't describe artists very well. He has something different from what everyone else is doing. But then what makes him number 1 for me is some fucking how, Mike. He is drawing 2 books a month.
Yeah. Which is insane.
And I don't believe, I have to look at my list for. Yeah. So both books I really enjoy. They're not on my top 5 spoilers.
Yeah, right.
But World's Finest is really good. And I just really love Shazam. And I think Shazam. So I think World's Finest, he's doing a lot of like kind of an old school style to fit where the time frame is. Shazam, while being a modern continuity, somehow his art in that is like more involved. And like, listen, you're gonna win awards when you have a T-Rex that wants to file paperwork. Like,
yeah,
that's just what it is.
It definitely helps.
So I just been impressed with not only the quality of his work, but the quantity of his work. When a lot of artists can't even get out 10 to 11 issues a year.
Yeah.
He's going to be he'll probably put out what, like close to 18 this year?
Oh, yeah. Easily. Yep.
Yeah. So
that's a lot.
Dan Mora, people.
We're going to top 5 comic books. So this book for my number 5 spot didn't start off so hot, but now I'm really enjoying it. Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons. Godzilla book had to make my list. Frank Thierry and Naki Miranda on the art.
I'm just thinking back to when we were talking about issue 1, and you're like, "Man, I wish there was Godzilla."
I wish there was Godzilla. Book. Now I'm really like, man, I wish that Godzilla book came out this week. Yeah, no, it's really good.
Okay. My number 5. So this is the only one shot I have on my list.
And interesting.
As I'm going back through all the books I bought last year, this one just stood out in such a weird and unique way. And that is Star Wars Return of the Jedi, Max Rebo.
Oh, yeah. I remember you told me that was so good. I forgot about that book.
This is literally a book about the, whatever you want to call that instrument, but pianist
in
the band at the cantina.
Yeah. And you said it was the best book ever.
or not the cantina, at Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
And it just had no right to be that good.
Yeah. That's so
It's
funny.
this very deep and like emotional story about this guy's struggle and how like in that day during Return of the Jedi, he's just like, it's cool if I die here. Like,
yeah, it's fucked up.
It's when I went back, I just looked at the cover and I just was it came back to me, like, you know, when you're dying and your whole life flashes before your eyes. That's what happened. Like, this book flashed before me. I was like, holy shit, that book was so fucking good.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it deserved to be mentioned.
My number 4 is Blade. Brian Hill, Elena Casagrande. I mean, dude, Blade is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I don't read a lot of Marvel, but this is what I wanted out of a Blade book. We're getting some lore. We're getting interesting creatures every issue. You know, Blade's wielding this awesome sword. He loses the sword. I think it's been a lot of fun in a book, and it's getting me excited to like see a lot more popularity with the character.
Yeah, I please finish that movie.
please.
And let it be good.
Yeah, please let it be good. Yep.
I was actually quick side story. I was in a Dollar General the other day.
Yeah.
And just, you know, walking around, and out of the corner of my eyes I see their Blu-ray section. And there's the Blade trilogy collection right there.
What the hell?
The Wesley Snipes Blade movies.
Amazing.
Man.
They're so good.
They are.
They're really so good. Oh, I gotta watch them now.
So for my number 4, talked about it a little bit already, but Public Domain.
Yeah.
Just a good book. It's a 6-issue series written and drawn by Chip Zdarsky about a guy who creates a character that becomes an icon, let's say a Batman-esque character, and him trying to get back the rights, or at least get something back for all the hard work he put in over the years. And how his like brings his family together and all this. It's just a really great character piece story that I really loved, and I hear he's doing more.
Cool.
But he's also writing Batman, so I think the priorities are very obvious.
Yeah, he's a little busy. Yeah.
But I think it's a really good book that people should check out.
Number 3 for me was Big Game by Mark Miller. This is like the culmination event book of all his stuff. It's weird because I did see it got a lot of hate online by like a lot of the fans. To me personally, like they're like, "Oh, Mark's not doing anything crazy." It was fun. It's how you do an event. You kill off some characters, you promote some characters, you use everybody, you get them all involved, and then you make the focus of it the kick-ass characters, which is my like one of my first reads in comics, like getting into that series. So I think it was great to see Mark become like this big superhero at the end, like he deserves. It was just all around great. Has time travel, action, all the things you want, and I mean, it was such a fun ride.
I'll talk more about that later.
Okay.
My number 3 was 7 Years in Darkness.
Interesting.
I didn't talk about this much on the show because there was a Diamond issue with it where Diamond didn't ship out one of the issues.
Oh, okay.
And I had to find it, and actually got in contact with a publisher to find it. This is published by a small company called CEX.
Okay.
And shoot, I should have had this at hand. But it's written by a guy that I know we've had on the show. And I believe you're a fan of.
Oh. Yeah, because I haven't checked this book out.
Joseph Schmolke.
Okay.
Who did that book at Scout, Electric Black, I think it was.
Yeah, the Electric Black. Yep.
Yeah. So this is the first volume of what he wants to be a 7-volume set. And it's the easy premise here is it's a dark twist of Harry Potter. Like these kids who were born into these families are brought to the school of magic, but it's like a evil magic, and like kids die along the way, and it's a lot of the black arts and stuff. It just everything about it it gave me those Harry Potter vibes that I
Mhm.
fell in love with all those years ago.
Yep.
In a different way. And I hope that he gets to do it for 7 years, because his plan is to do a series every year for 7 years and continue with it, because I really, really enjoyed the book.
Cool.
It's small publisher. I believe they're doing like a big one shot with all the issues in it here soon. And then I don't know how they're going to do trades, but I know there's like a annual sized issue coming out that has every issue in it.
Cool.
That's like $10. So if you can find it, you can get the whole first volume for $10. Right there. That's steal. It's a great book.
Nice. My number 2, Chris, was Night Terrors by Williamson and Giuseppe Camicoli in the art. Awesome event book. All the side stories we got of each of the heroes and their own nightmares. The characters involved. Deadman as Batman. I thought this was just like the event book of the year. This is what event books should be: fun and like crazy, insane twists on like characters and team ups that you know. So I think we got a lot of interesting character involvement, and like the whole part where they resurrect Sandman with the Lazarus pills and stuff like that. It was just a great culmination of a lot of different stuff that Williamson was putting together, and some awesome characters and creepy monsters that are like nightmares. So I loved it.
Definitely. I love that book too. Not on my list though, Mike.
Damn.
Because my number 2
is
Ultimate Invasion.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Talked about Hickman earlier. Brian Hickman, the art.
Can't beat it.
It's I don't know. It's a tough book to recommend just to anybody, because if you don't know who the maker is, you're out right away. Like,
right.
But as somebody that's kind of accidentally followed the maker's journey ever since he left, since they blew up the Ultimate Universe originally, and he's just kind of popped up in all the books I've been reading. And this is why I keep saying, like, in Ultimate Universe, this would be Donny Cates' book, because Donny was setting up the maker through Venom and through even parts of Hulk and other things he was doing for all these years. And then the accident happened. Life happened the way it is. And Hickman got to do it and just nailed it. Hickman, so like I said with that, this was supposed to be Donnie's book. So I feel like Hickman kind of, I don't want to say that he scrambled at the last minute to put the pieces together, but when you read this, he's taking things that he's done over the years. And that first issue really was like another of many culminations of his career at Marvel, where like the maker's taking all this stuff from different books that he used to do, and you bring in the Illuminati and you bring in the Avengers, and then like, he brings in Krakoa and just uses that to literally teleport the maker into a new universe that is now his to control. And I like that, like, there's a lot of changes from the original Ultimate Universe, but there's a lot of things that are similar. And this book, for anyone that's as much of a Marvel fan as I am or more, is a must read. It's, while I agree with you that I think that Night Terrors is the pinnacle of event books this year, and I would like to see more books like Night Terrors at both Marvel and DC. And I think DC has been killing it with this style recently. This is what I love about Marvel currently, is that their events tend to be less big bombastic and more specific. And that's good and bad, because I can't recommend Ultimate Invasion to you.
Right.
But for me,
it was good.
It hits a different way.
Cool.
So, yeah.
My number 1 is Batman Neo-Gothic by Lanzig, Kelly, and Dunbar in the art. These guys have like ignited a new love for Batman Beyond for me, where I was like, I wasn't watching the old cartoons that much on repeat and stuff, but it got me to do it again. This Neo-Gothic storyline where we get Court of Owls involved, we get all the underground Gotham, this magic storytelling with like old Constantine being around, and then what's happening on the surface with some of these characters they've created already. I think it's just Like I can't wait to just read. I can't wait to read that Batman Beyond book whenever it comes out every month. It's just such a fun ride, for sure. And getting like Swamp Thing involved and Poison Ivy now is just awesome.
It's good to hear. And while it's different,
yeah.
Now that you're more into Batman Beyond,
yeah,
I would love for you to read the new 52 Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
it's way different.
Yeah,
but it kind of flows better from the cartoon.
Okay.
Where we get to see like ink pop up and
yeah,
and all the other characters. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'd be interested to see what you think of that series.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check it out now.
Well, I spoiled it already. My number one's Big Game.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good book.
Everything Mike said. I mean, for me in particular, I'm not the hardcore Millar fan that Mike is.
Right.
And I still love this book. He did an amazing job of bringing in people who were just like casual readers of his. It might be tough if you've never read a Millar book to care about this book. But if you're like me and you pick up the occasional one that seems interesting to you, it'll work. And it'll probably do what it did for me, which is to make me interested. Like I'm waiting until Dark Horse releases them now because I'm a crazy person and I have to have the same logo on every issue or on every trade. But I'm going to pick up Magic Order and check it out now because of this book.
Mm-hmm.
And much like you, while I read Millar's stuff at Marvel for a little bit here and there, my introduction to Millar was Kick-Ass and that series. And for that full circle to come at the end of the series just hit so well.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great send-off.
And then he even we talked about it in depth, but like I can't get over the epilogue where like they go into the Reborn world.
Yeah. We're like, where's Reborn been this whole time? He's like, oh, here it is.
Because for me, I was like, Reborn's not going to be in this. It's a different thing. It has nothing to do with what's going on here. And he finds a way to,
that was awesome.
And that's my favorite Millar book.
Yeah,
hands down. So
that was awesome. That was a great way to end it.
Big Game to me is everyone out there. It's tough to do this book at Marvel and DC, but if you're going to do your own universe, look at this. Realize what he did, which was to create really good books for a long time and do something special. And hopefully he's rewarded financially for it. And this book sold really well because it deserved to be that way.
I think so. Yeah. All right. Now we're on to the top 5 multimedia category, which for me was all movies this year. Not so much TV shows or gaming.
Yeah, not for me.
Okay. Well, my number 5, as far as like, I mean, all the other ones aren't really comic book related, I guess, but this one is probably the most comic book related would be Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Probably I mean, just for the send off to those characters, really loved it. The characters involved, the origin to Rocket and things like that. It was just a great way to wrap up the series. And, James Gunn just like put those characters, unless we see him again, but give him a send off.
You know what? We're doing an Audible.
Yeah.
Here. Because I forgot that movie came out this year.
Yeah, dude. I had to look it up. This is what I always forget. Yeah.
That is my number 4.
Okay. That's your number 4.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I did an Audible.
Yeah, an Audible. Because I can't make it my number 5, and you'll see why when I tell you my number 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie was great. Everything he said, like, just so good, and it reminded me that the MCU can still be great. Like, I think the MCU has been good, and Loki did the same thing, which will get an honorable mention from me later. But it just reminded me that like this can still be something great.
Yeah, like James Gunn's like, no, it's still here.
Yeah,
yeah, that reminded.
We just need to refocus and like go back to why this was great to begin with. So I guess real quick, I'll do. So that was my number 4.
Yeah, so you're number 5.
So my number 5 is Ant-Man Quantumanium.
I forgot that came out this year.
And that's why Guardians is my number 4 because I could not put Ant-Man above Guardians.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
I know Ant-Man's flawed. I know that people have their issues with it.
But MODOK.
I know it's formulaic. I got to see MODOK's ass cheeks, guys.
Yeah.
Like, just give it to me.
Gives you a spot.
I will believe to the end of my days that this movie was originally written to be a Rom and the Micronauts movie. Everything about, like, it very obviously is a Micronauts movie. And somebody said, we don't have the rights to that, and they had to change it. There's a character in there that, to me, seems very obvious they were trying to hint towards Rom. So there's hints of that in there, too, that pulls at my fandom. But I did think at the end of the day, it's just a fun popcorn movie. Is it the greatest? No. It's just a good time. And I'll throw out there, I have yet to see Godzilla -1. I have yet to finish Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff that I haven't gotten to. So maybe this would jump back if I had played and seen these things. But the joy I got leaving that movie, just seeing a character that I truly believed at one point he would never be in a live action movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nobody expected that.
Yeah. So,
yep.
And to be done fairly right. Like, he's not perfect, but he's fairly right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, just he had to be mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, alongside that, I haven't seen the new Into the Spider-Verse movie. I haven't seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So there's some stuff I haven't seen. There's some stuff I have seen, but my number 4 is going to be horror related because I love horror. But Talk to Me was the low budget horror flick that came out this year. It's very there's a very good plot to it. It's the characters are very well done as to, like, oh yeah, like high school kids would probably just behave like this. It's terrifying, and they don't do a lot to make it terrifying. The characters are just so good at acting possessed, and just like the moments that make you cringe, like, oh my god, the situation is awful. And then the way it ends, where like the character is like in the position of, like, you can almost see how it's going to come full circle and then end where it began almost, and be like, oh shit, this can happen again. So no, it was just a fantastic movie.
So originally I had 2 non-comic book things on my list. But you had to bring up Guardians. So
yep. Sorry.
This is my only non-comic book thing on my list.
Yep.
And this is, so my number 3 is really a Lifetime Achievement Award because I discovered it this year.
Okay.
And I got to experience the entirety of it all at once.
And
it's Ted Lasso season 3.
Oh, dude, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
The emotional roller coaster of this show.
I forgot that came out. Yeah, it is really good.
And I mean, like you said, you forgot about it, but when you think back to when that was coming out, and how I was talking about it every week because I was so enthralled with it.
Those characters are so perfect, the way they wrote them.
Yeah, and I'm at the it's one of the few times, because I'm very much different from a lot of people out there, where like there's a lot of people that fight for the idea of like leave things alone,
right,
and don't franchise them.
Yeah.
And I'm a comic fan, so I'm like, no, franchise the fuck out of it. Like, give me more.
Give me more.
I don't want to ever see Ted Lasso again.
Yeah.
I don't want any more.
Yeah, you don't need any more. Yep.
This needs to be left alone in a lot of ways. As much as I did love his supporting cast and would be fine with a season 4. Yeah. At the time, I would have been fine with a season 4 that like went into the supporting cast, continuing the legacy.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore. I've rewatched it since, and I just feel like it's so perfect the way it is.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, it's so good. I wish it was on my list now.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things, and it's one of those things. I've talked about a few of them this year. We talked about Death Note and a few other things that are older, that people talk highly about, and you're like, it can't be that good.
Yeah.
It is, everybody. It lived up to every expectation people gave.
It is very good. It's one of the
best shows. Rare things.
One of the best shows of all time, I think.
Yeah.
My number 3, Chris, John Wick 4. You know how much of a fan I am with John Wick, and I'm an even bigger fan of Donnie Yen. So when you put Donnie Yen in a John Wick film and make it like 3 hours, oh hell yeah!
The guy from Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, hasn't been in anything else. The action sequences, Donnie's character, the other characters they introduce, I'll watch 100 John Wick movies. I mean, they could just keep doing them. I don't know if Keanu Reeves wants to keep doing them, but I for sure love that series, and yeah, I'm here for it. And Donnie Yen, I'm such a huge fan, so it was like a dream come true.
I can confirm that the first movie's really good.
Yeah, you got to watch the rest of them. You're number 2.
Speaking of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars, Ahsoka, season 1.
Nice. Very good.
It had to be mentioned. I mean, yeah. Ahsoka, my favorite Star Wars character of all time.
Yep.
Leading out of events from cartoons I've been watching for God knows how long. Characters from Rebels that I just love and adore. I think this show, what fascinates me about the show is that I love it to death because of all the time I spent with these characters and the emotional payoffs we get throughout this series and the ones that are promised to come. And then someone like yourself and a lot of people I know who also really love this series, but don't have that same connection, and somehow it works. And I'm not sure how it works, but it's just masterful storytelling is how it works. And Dave Filoni has earned a spot on top of Lucasfilms because of it.
Oh yeah.
And deserves it. So
yep.
Yeah, I loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I really enjoyed it too, even though I haven't finished Rebels yet. Number 2 for me, Chris, Evil Dead Rise. A movie that I almost forgot came out this year. But I went with a friend who had a baby the next day, so that's how I remember. So I'm like, wait, the baby's not a year old yet. So I'm like, so it had to be this year. Yeah, so everything I love about the Evil Dead franchise, it builds out of the lore of being, they talk about the 3 separate books back in Army of Darkness that they bring back for this movie. That one book just happens to be an apartment complex, a different environment that we're not used to. It adds the cheesiness and the grotesque and the ridiculousness of the original franchise. Does it so well. I loved it. Every minute of that movie was just awesome. And the fight scene at the end where they set it up and you knew it was going to happen. You're like, oh man, this is going to be the situation they're going to be in. It's awesome. It was just, they're trapped in an apartment building fighting Evil Dead, and the ridiculous camera shaking, head shaking with the Deadites are chasing them. It's awesome. It was such a wild ride.
Who directed that?
Good question. I'm going to look that up while you tell me about your number 1.
Because when you're talking about it, I was like, was that the remake? It's like, no, that was the sequel.
Yeah. Well, it kind of I don't know. It's just within the universe, right? I don't know if it's a sequel, but.
Well, yeah, not a sequel in the sense that Bruce Campbell's story continues, but it's a sequel in the sense that it expands the universe.
And directed by Lee Cronin and written by Lee Cronin. Lee Cronin has done a lot of stuff that I've never heard of. So a lot of short films. So and done a couple, looks like a couple horror movies, but nothing as big as Evil Dead. Yeah, really good.
My number 1, you already mentioned that you didn't see it yet. So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay. I've heard it's really good.
It is, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talking about characters I love and adore, Miles' ascension in media has been phenomenal to watch. I was there for issue 1. And this movie just is... It's funny. It's funny behind the scenes seeing all the stories about how tortured it was, because in my opinion, this is evidence of just masterful storytelling from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it almost came together by accident from some of the stories you read.
Right.
But I mean, it just continues the first movie on. You get Miles and Gwen. And Gwen, a character I don't really care for, but she comes off really well here. I love Spider-Punk. I mean, anything punk rock, you're going to get me in on.
Oh, hell yeah.
Spider-Man 2099 with Oscar Isaac voicing that character is great. The cameos throughout it are phenomenal. The art direction throughout this is just stunning. There is no other... I know a lot of people want to compare that TMNT movie to it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't so high on that TNT movie as a whole, but listen, the styles do not compare. What they do in Spider-Verse is unique to Spider-Verse. Nobody else is doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then for the story to be the Dark Knight Returns, or sorry, Jesus, the Empire Strikes Back, style ending, and how this story is going to move forward is just another call at something that's on probably my top ever list. Yeah, if you haven't seen these movies, they're just masterful, really, man.
Yeah,
and it's proof that sometimes. So I talk a lot about the MCU, and we talk a lot about like what James Gunn's doing with the DCU, and how I believe that needs a steady hand to keep things moving, and almost a corporate structure to make sure that we're all moving in the same direction. And this is evidence that a big IP like that, in the opposite direction, where like Sony kind of was like, you want to do like your stupid little like cartoon movie? Go ahead. Here's a few $1 million. Like, go over there.
Right.
And nobody was paying attention, and they made these masterpieces, both of them.
Yeah.
It's proof that both ways can work. And yeah, go see Across the Spider-Verse if you haven't seen it.
It's awesome. My number one, Chris, was Godzilla -1. Easily. I mean, one of my favorite Godzilla movies of all time. I already talked about on the show, but they use science to try to defeat Godzilla. It's not as high budget as some of these, but the effects are amazing. Some of those shots are really cool. The characters are amazing. The history of its ties to Japan. I saw some people were like, well, it's kind of like a, this is a great Godzilla movie because it's not pushing its like political agenda down your throat. I'm like, no, literally in a scene in there where they say like the country of Japan is like killing its people. So it is very political. So I will say that, but it's not like overly political. It's just like how that situation affects the characters. Like, oh, why would I fight for my country or become a kamikaze pilot when like they're not taking care of us? They can't even feed us and things like that. So not everybody.
Something I say a lot, which is I don't think people don't want people mistaken the politics thing where it's people want politics in their media.
Yeah.
They just want it done smartly.
Right.
Dude, Dawn of the Dead is a very political movie.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but no, I feel like it might be easily like you can easily get carried away with trying to push your own view where it's like this is literally not changing because Godzilla's here. This is the state of Japan in the World War and what the people living there were going through. And that's why Godzilla was created. Like, this is like what it felt like. Like, it felt like there was this giant monster crushing through the country that they could not stop. The people, try as they might, could not stop it. So, fantastic movie. 10 out of 10 from me. So I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah. I did have some quick like honorable mentions. So when you brought up Guardians,
yep,
that kicked out Oppenheimer from my list.
Okay, which I did not see yet.
Yeah, which kind of the opposite direction of Godzilla, where it's the American version of like the bombing,
right?
But just a masterful movie from start to finish. It's just I don't know. It's not in my like wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is like punchy superhero stuff.
Yeah,
and I understand that, but like it's hard to deny how great that movie is.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
To go along with Ahsoka, Mando season 3 was this year.
Yep.
And it was a really good season. And then I throw it out there. I was up and down with it. But Last of Us season 1 came out this year.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it's just
so much stuff came out this year.
It's I stand by. I think Last of Us as an IP is one of the most overrated video game IPs ever.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means the people who love it just like have to vomit in your face how good it is. And it for me takes a little bit away from how good it is. And the show was kind of the same. Where like I thought the show was really good.
Yeah.
And did a lot of good things. And yeah, people should go watch that too. But yeah, so I just want to mention those things.
I forgot it even came out. Yeah,
it was a good year, man. Because like I said, dude, from what I've heard, because I just started playing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
From what I heard, that'd probably be on my list if I played through it already.
Wow.
Everything I've heard about Godzilla probably be on my list if I'd played or if I'd watched it.
I even forgot like Super Mario came out this year. So much shit came out.
I remember Super Mario, but it was it's a really fun movie, but it didn't come near my list.
But yeah, I mean that's it. We talked through our top fives, and I would just wish everybody a happy New Year and a holiday season.
Yeah, hopefully
coming back strong in 2024 with Fortress of Comic News.
Hopefully, everyone out there, Batman and Santa were able to defeat Krampus.
Yes. Yep.
And
hopefully
you got your presents.
Yeah, I hope so. So, yeah, just glad to be here for another year, everybody. So thanks.
So, Mike, before we leave, last shout out of the year, where can people find you on the internet?
Find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. If it's not here next year, we'll figure it out. Where can they find you and or the show?
Find me at Fortress Chris on whatever social media platform you choose. I'm probably there, unless it's TikTok, as we talked about in last episode.
Yeah,
I'm not there, but
still not there.
Maybe that could be my New Year's resolution. Probably
there you
not.
Go. Yeah.
If you want to follow the show, it's Fortress Comics _ on Twitter, also at fortresscomicnews.com. You know how to support the show. Go do that. Have a happy New Year, everybody. We'll see y'all here next week.
Next week.